Hello again, I am Blunty, and this is a Nintendo 3DS. Now, the Nintendo 3DS has three cameras on it. It has one that stares directly up your nose while you're using it, and it has two on the back which work in tandem to take three-dimensional photographs. Ooh. Which is actually quite a lot of fun. But in my recent review of the Nintendo 3DS, I kind of glossed over the cameras a bit. I merely mentioned that they're a bit average, but they work perfectly well for the augmented reality gaming, which is the main reason they exist there in the first place. But now, I want to take a closer look at the photographic capabilities of the 3DS and find out exactly how just ordinary these cameras actually are, and specifically compare them to the camera in the Nintendo DSi. But just before we get rolling on this, I want to specifically point out that even though the 3DS takes 3D photographs, I can't actually show them to you here. Well, not easily without a lot of screwing around and you having to go find glasses or go cross-eyed in the YouTube 3D thing or whatever. So the images I'm using in this comparison review are the 2D JPEGs that the 3DS saves out automatically at the same time it's taking the 3D picture. First things first, what you see on the screen of the 3DS while taking a photo with the 3DS is completely misleading. It isn't actually what you get saved out to the SD card at all. And that's a huge no-no for a camera. Because more than anything else, composition is the most important thing in photography. You can have the very best camera ever made and have the very best lens ever designed strapped to the front of it. But if your composition is sloppy, the end result will be a boring piece of crap. Sure, it'll be a crisp, clean, perfectly exposed, well-saturated piece of crap, but it's still a piece of crap. The problem with the camera on the 3DS when it comes to composition is that while it uses the top widescreen for a viewfinder, the pictures it takes are actually in a 4:3 aspect ratio, the standard VGA or 640 by 480 pixels, which means there's a whole bunch more stuff in your picture than the 3DS is actually showing you, and this can utterly change the compositional balance of a shot. So you kind of have to guess where the top and bottom edges of your frame actually are. Which shits me. Now maybe that's okay if your shots never leave the 3DS, as playback of the images also crops out the top and bottom. But if you're planning on uploading the pics to a photo sharing site like Flickr, or you're one of the morons out there who willingly sacrifice your filthy souls to the sociopathic slime demons who run Facebook, or even plan on emailing them to Grandma, keep in mind your photos will include other crap you hadn't counted on. This isn't an issue for the DSi because its screen and the photos it takes are the exact same aspect ratio. So, that annoyance aside, what is the quality like? Well, in a word, it's blurg. I mean, yes, I know there's a current trend out there of complete idiots who deliberately and maliciously degrade the quality of their photos so it looks retro, and so they can pretend that the act of pressing a few buttons on their iPhone to apply some preset filters from some shitty $2 app is what it takes to be artistic. So maybe those people will be happy that the 3DS camera spits out a low-res image that are full of noise, grain, chromatic aberrations, and color fringing, and that the combination of cheap imaging sensors and even cheaper lenses tends to vomit a schmeary mess over any detail in the scene, but I'm not one of those people. And as you've been seeing here, the camera on Nintendo's latest and greatest are actually noticeably inferior to the already pretty ordinary camera on its forefather. I really can't fathom why Nintendo would take such an obvious step backwards. The shots from the DSi are in general sharper, have less noise, the white balance is more accurate, the colours are better saturated, and they're almost always the better picture in general. It's worth keeping in mind too that the very nature of video compression on YouTube will mean that some of the pixel noise and graininess of the pictures you're seeing will have been reduced too. They're actually slightly worse than what you're seeing here. It is also worth mentioning that the front-facing camera on the 3DS is actually noticeably better than the rear ones, showing less noise and other issues overall. But it's still not great. However, with a decent editing package and with a modest amount of know-how, the pictures can be enhanced and processed and crunched enough to spit out something acceptable for posting online. I wouldn't print them out and hang them on a wall, unless that wall belonged to someone I hated. But still, they're not utterly unlikable. When looking at the 3D photos on the 3DS's own nifty 3D screen, Many sins of low resolution and high noise are actually forgiven. They look better on the screen than they do on your computer, because the screen itself is actually an even lower resolution than the photos are, which tends to hide some of the noise and other little flaws. The 3D effect probably also helps distract us from the 1996 mobile phone camera quality of the images as well. And to be honest, 3D photography is actually pretty damn fun. It's interesting, it's a whole new avenue of composition to explore, and it actually has me kind of inspired. Okay, so breaking it all the way down to the balls of the issue, the 3DS cameras are very ordinary. In fact, they verge on crappy most of the time. But, like I said at the beginning, and like I said in the review, and like I'm going to say again, they're there mainly for the augmented reality gaming, which works really well. They work perfectly fine for that, and the augmented reality gaming is a lot of fun. Anyway, I look at the 3D photographic capabilities of the 3DS a bit like an appetizer. It has whet my appetite. It has made me hungry for more. It does not fulfill me in any way. It does not satisfy my craving for it, but it has sparked in me a hunger to know more. I guess another way to look at it is the 3D photography on the 3DS is a bit like a gateway drug. Which means sometime over the next few months I'm going to start craving the crack cocaine that is high resolution 3D photography. Alright, so grab your 3DS, go out and start playing with 3D photography, have some fun, but don't expect too much out of it. You can, like I showed you, you can sort of tweak him a bit to make him acceptable, but it is what it is. So thanks for watching. I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.